The last video for today, and we've got the balanced patch notes for the existing heroes in the game. Of course, there's a lot of videos I've made about what they can do to improve certain heroes in this game, and hopefully they've listened and adjusted some of the characters accordingly in this update, but we'll need to wait and see as we go through this, right? And we're starting off with the Vanguards up first, and the Vanguard changes here are nothing too crazy because they've done all the Vanguard changes in the last update. But essentially, when it comes to Emma Frost, she's getting a base health increase from 550 to 600, but she's losing the anchor bonus. So essentially, she's getting 50 HP less than before, right? So that might make her slightly less valuable, but she's still pretty good, to be honest. When it comes to Penny Parker, similar treatment. 50 HP less of base HP, which is okay. Again, she got a lot of buffs in the previous update, so I don't think this is going to change too much. Next up, we have the Thing, and when it comes to the Thing, they've improved his brawling, which I hope they would have, especially after seeing what Rogue looks like now. She looks insane at brawling, and it looked like the Thing was going to get left behind, and I think he might still do, to be honest, but these changes definitely help that. Essentially, that extra bonus damage that he does, depending on what HP the enemy has, is now being increased from 8% to 10. Definitely a good improvement there. I know it's only 2%, but on top of the 55 base damage is pretty solid. And then they also increased the duration of the anti-mobility field to 5 seconds. Pretty solid against dive. Now that is a very, very good change for the Thing, and also might be really good against Rogue as well, actually, because she's got a lot of movement tech. So I wonder if that kind of plays into this. Then we've got Thor's change, and when it comes to Thor's change, I was hoping they'd add in some of the zombie stuff onto his kit, and it's not a massive change, but definitely a nice one, right? So essentially, when he's doing the Storm Surge, which is the dash, he's able to now change direction mid-dash, right? I think that's pretty cool. I think it's a good addition, and I also think they should maybe increase how far he can dash as well. I don't think that would be broken in any way, only by like 5 meters or so. I just think that would make him feel a little bit stronger when he's not inside his Awakening Rune form. Next up, we've got the Duelists, and up first we've got Blade, and thank God he's getting some kind of buff, but again, I don't think this is nearly enough. He does get an extra 2 damage on his melee attack, which is a standard attack, obviously, and then the Whirlwind gets an extra 1 damage. Now, obviously, as he does damage, it speeds up, right? We already know that. But that is nowhere near good enough in my opinion. Obviously his damage output is pretty good, to be fair. I think the issue is that reduced healing aspect. They have reduced this now by 10%, so you're now able to heal Blade up a little bit better if you are a support character. So it's a good change, but I don't think this is going to make him nearly as good as he maybe should be in this game. Daredevil's up next, and they remove the anchor bonus for his 25 extra HP. I don't really think that really makes too much of a difference to this character. He's still going to be pretty broken. Next up, we've got Human Torch, and they've done a lot to try and make this character work here, so bear with me on this one. Fire Cluster, they've reduced the spread, so that is more accurate now. And they've also increased the single projectile damage, so this is going to be each pellet, essentially, of his shotgun blast is now increased from 5 to 5.5. Weird change, but okay. And then they've reduced the fall off damage, which means they've made it worse, right? So it's now going to fall off at 20 meters instead of 30. Now, that's okay, I guess, but it's not really making him all that powerful at range, which he probably shouldn't be anyway, but again, he is a flying hero. Then they've reduced the charge speed of his Blazing Blast so that he can use that more often. And I think that's a good change, that he can alternate between his 2 fire modes and just kind of get some damage out there, right? And then they've also increased the hit damage of that by 5. Nothing crazy, but I think it's going to make him a little bit more viable now that he's going to be outputting a little bit more damage a little bit faster. Now, when it comes to the Phoenix's ultimate, she now gets more HP when she's doing the ultimate. That's okay. Nothing too crazy there. They also nerfed this character way back. When it comes to Psylocke, they have increased the cost of her ultimate. I expected this one to happen. Psylocke's ultimate is one of the best in the game right now, especially when you combo it with Gambit and stuff like that. It's pretty insane. Scarlet Witch is another hero which we thought needed a bit of a rework, to be honest, but we'll see what they actually do with her here. Increase the charge to Corinthian Burst by control hits from 0.08 to 0.1. I'm not even really too sure what that even means, to be honest. I don't know if that's the damage after it's kind of went out. and then it's kind of exploding. I'm not even too sure what that is. Increased dark seal projectile speed from 40 meters per second to 60 meters per second, and remove spell field generation delay. That's pretty cool, to be fair. It's a good change, and it's going to stun enemies in place a bit better, a bit faster as well. Increase reality erasure, and this means the enemy pull speed is going to be a little bit quicker, so they're going to make the enemies come in closer. Again, not nearly enough changes to Scarlet Witch in my opinion. I think they need to kind of rework this hero almost entirely. Then when it comes to the Punisher, they increased the adjudication damage from 19 to 20. This got upgraded last time, but now they upgraded it again by 1 damage. So overall, Punisher's getting that extra output in terms of his damage, which is pretty solid, especially with a lot more walls and bubbles and shields in the game now. And then we've got Wolverine. So Wolverine's ultimate can now target walls for its landing point. That's pretty cool. I think Wolverine should get an extra dash though. So a standard dash, I think you should get an extra one of them as well. I think that would make Wolverine a bit more versatile and not so reliant on cooldowns like all the time, whereas he can dash in and out of places and have some kind of way of escaping as well without having to waste his Pharaoh leap. That would be really cool to add to Wolverine. I don't think that's broken in any way, shape or form. Then we've got some strategist changes, which, let's be honest, man, this one is insane. And we've got Gambit, who's broken right now, but they've increased the cost of his ultimate. I think Gambit needs way more changes than this, to be honest with you, but because he's a new hero, they'll probably take a while to get on top of that one. Invisible Woman increased the energy cost of her ultimate. Again, Invisible Woman's ultimate was probably one of the better ones, especially for Season 5, the beginning of, so we'll see how this kind of works out. And then when it comes to Loki, we've got a buff to Loki, which they keep doing, but they should never have nerfed him in the first place. And that's increased damage and healing ratio of Loki's doppelgangers from 80% to 90%. So now you're going to deal more damage and more healing with Loki, which soon they'll just get this back up to 100% again, which is basically what he was originally anyway. And we've got Luna up next, and can you guess what this is? Is this a buff to Luna? Did we ever see this ever happening? And she's got a whole new ability as well, by the way. So reduce absolute zero startup time and increase projectile speed from 60 meters per second to 50. So essentially she can let go of the freeze ball way faster, and it also travels way faster. And then we have Luna can apply an idle aura to herself separate from share the stage. When idle aura is active, 10% of healing to allies is converted into self-healing for Luna herself, and she gains 10% healing boost and a 10% damage boost. I wonder if this is a passive ability that she just gets, right? If she just stops moving, she can just like gain damage and stuff. We were waiting a while for a Luna buff, right? We were waiting for this one. Then we've got Rocket Raccoon, and when it comes to the energy cost of his ultimate, they increased that as well. Again, energy cost to ultimates all across the board here. And finally, they have my boy, and maybe they're listening to me, man, because we've got a massive buff to Ultron, and I'm glad to see it, to be honest with you. We needed this for this character. Imperative patch, Ultron now carries 2 drones, right? So you can put the drones on 2 different allies at once. Now, the one thing I do want to know, and we will test this obviously once we get our hands on this update, is that inside the 2 bubbles, essentially, if the teammates are stood next to each other, do they get double healing? Is that how this works? So we're going to test that in our video because it doesn't tell you here anyway. Imperative patch, so the firewall now requires a target with imperative patch to use. After use, Ultron gains 65 bonus health, which is pretty cool, and the target nearby allies get 50 bonus health. So that's good, man. And then plus the selected ally gets 20% movement speed and 10% damage boost. Yes, man, that is exactly what we need with Ultron. If Gambit's getting all this crazy stuff, Ultron should get some of this stuff as well. A movement boost is definitely solid. I'm glad to see it. Ultron might be a hero that I start playing now. I like Ultron the way he plays right now. I just think he needed a couple more abilities, and this was definitely the best way to go around doing it. And then we've got some team up changes, which we've already covered inside our previous video. And then they did also balance the Bestial Hunt team up, where Daredevil loses his anchor, obviously. But that is this video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe. We will be covering and testing all these things as they come out as well. And thank you very much for watching.